Hi, in this video I want to talk to you about the basic settings for your WordPress site. So let's head on over to our dashboard here. And this being our admin panel, there's a lot of information here for just about any aspect of your WordPress site. Today we're going to be talking about the settings section. And you can expand this by clicking on the word or the drop down arrow here. Now before we get into each one of these items, I also want to point out a nice supplement to the entire video course I'm offering here on WordPress, and that is over at wordpress.org. And just about anything that you can think of, or maybe you want some additional information from what I'm explaining to you, come on over here to the search section, and let's just go ahead and type in admin, because I've done this before and I know where I'm going, and it's going to bring you to a list of related items for that particular keyword. So if we click on the administration panel here, and you just scroll down here a little bit, this gives you a bit of a rundown on basically where we're at right here, all of this. But right here kind of breaks everything down, and everything on the column over here is what I'm referring to. So over here under settings, for example, you can see they've got a detailed description for each one of these items we're going to be discussing in this video. So if you need some supplemental information, or maybe I've skimmed over something that you wanted more details on, right here's where you can go to get those details. So that being said, let's get on back to our dashboard here, and under general settings, go ahead and click on that, and you can see here this is the site title just as it is here, the tagline here just as it is here, and the main thing I want to mention here is that these should be keyword rich. Depending upon what you're aiming for with your WordPress site, if you're looking for monetization at some point down the line, then you want to have traffic flowing to your site. So having keyword rich titles and taglines are definitely going to be a step in that direction. Your WordPress URL, the site address, a lot of this stuff here is pretty self-explanatory as we go through this. And I've touched on a couple of these items here as well during the install process. Under membership, you might want to just leave a lot of this stuff as a default, but under membership, if you have this box checked, then as it says, anybody can register. If you want to have a little more, now by register I mean that they would be able to add content to your site in addition to simply commenting on a particular post or page or entering into some discussion. With them having a membership here, if you check this box, depending upon what role level you allow them to have, would depend on what level of discussion or content they would be able to add to your site. For example, you would definitely want to leave this as a subscriber unless you have some other plans, but if you have this as administrator, they have the same rights as you do as the creator of this site. And let me just say, that would mean they can come in here, they can change your login information and completely lock you out of this site. So, tread in this area carefully. Again, I would probably leave this as default, unchecked, and subscriber. Now the time zone here, if you're not familiar with the UTC, you can always do a search in your favorite search engine for time UTC, and that would give you a better explanation. For example, I live in the Kansas City area here in the Midwest, the United States of America. I know that where I'm at, it's -6. And if we come down here and save changes, you can see right here, it will give me the local time. And if I look at my watch and I can see that this is not my local time, then I screwed up here somewhere. I need to make those adjustments. Now, if you're not familiar with the UTC, don't worry about it. You can come on up here and try to find the city closest to you. And for example, if I come on up here to America, eventually, right here, then I look for Kansas City, for example. It's not in there. Why the heck does Knox, Indiana rank more than Kansas City? I don't know. Just my 2 cents worth there. But I do know that the one in here for my area, I believe, is Chicago as far as being as close as, I am anyway. So if we come on down here, 1052-08, 1053-04. Yep. So Chicago's the closest area to me. Now again, either way, whether it's you choosing the closest city or the UTC, you may want to have this adjusted properly, because this may affect the way some of your content is displayed to the visitors or viewers of that content. Likewise with the date here, but you can adjust how it appears, and likewise with the time format and when does your week start, Monday, Sunday. So you can make your adjustments here if you care to, and then whatever you make here as far as changes, if you make changes, be sure and click on Save Changes or they will not take. Under Writing, this right here, the size of the post box is by default 10 lines. Now you can adjust this, and you don't really have to. 10 lines is sufficient, and if you go beyond this, if you've got a large post, it will adjust that with a scroll bar. Let me kind of show you what I'm talking about here. We go to Post, go to Add New. This holds true also if you're editing, but this is the post box I'm talking about. Now if we get these guys out of the way here, here we are, that's what I'm looking for. You can adjust the post box right here by simply typing in your content as you normally would. Then over here would be a scroll bar if you go beyond the allotted 10 lines that are on that section under Writing. Or what I like to do is right here in the lower right hand corner, just get your arrows pointed like that, left click, hold, and drag it on down. This way, depending upon the size of your workspace, you can have a large work area right here by making that manual adjustment or adjusting it here, either way. And this one here, just like everything else in here that I've mentioned so far, a lot of this, the defaults are just fine. And for further explanation, be sure to hit up the folks over at wordpress.org like I'd instructed earlier. But if you want to make this as an emoticon, an actual image, you know, the little smiley face, or whatever you put out here on your post, check that box and it'll automatically insert the image instead of having the colon dash close parentheses. And this is fine as a default being unchecked, because sometimes there are certain plugins out there that may not function properly if this is checked. So again, you can check this or leave it alone as the default. The post category, the default post category, this is the one that's showing right now. You can adjust this. Of course, you can also adjust this on a per post basis. And the default link category, again, you can adjust this right here. This is the only one we have right now. Or you can adjust this on a per link entry basis. Press this, we'll get into this in greater detail under the tools section here. You can also post via email. You've got the options here to be able to do that. And frankly, I've never used this. If I want to make a post, I'll either just come on over to the dashboard and do a quick post, or come in and do the add new post and just do it from there. There is this though, in case this is something that you want to tackle, and you've got your setup possibilities right here. Again, you want to set up your default category here. That way it's already set for you, rather than you emailing in a post and it going into the wrong category you're wanting. So this is above and beyond what the default category is right here. So this would just be for your posting via email. And your remote publishing, this I've never messed with, because this to me is also a security issue, but that could be just personal because I don't know what I'm doing whenever it comes to remote publishing. Again, if I want to post, I will go ahead and come to the dashboard and do so. And updating services, this is where whenever you click on publish your new post, it's going to send out notices to a lot of services like RSS and basically pinging services. And you can see that this is not available right now because we do not have our site basically live. I mean, it is, but let's go over to privacy and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right here, the site visibility, it's not being seen by everyone, including the search engines. But if I were to click this, click on Save Changes, and then come on down here to Writing again, and you can see right here, by default we've got one service in here that it will go to. And when we get into the plugins a little bit further on down the line here in this series of videos, then you'll see that there's certain plugins that will automatically populate this with a lot of cool services, and it'll work perfectly for you. So it's just another way in which you can generate traffic to your site for every published post that you create. So let's come on back up here to privacy and change that back to the way it was. Now then, come on over to reading. And this is the default, and like most everything else so far, I've said defaults here are just fine and dandy. We'll get into this in further explanation later on in another video whenever we talk about how you can customize the look of your site by making, say, your site look more like a sales page rather than just a blog. And this is where we're going to go to do that. You can have so many posts show up on your pages. Right now it's set for 10. That's plenty. If you want less or more, you can adjust that here. And the same thing holds true for RSS feeds. You can adjust this to be more or less, or just leave it alone. And for those feeds, those RSS feeds, you can have the full text or you can have a summary, depending upon, I would say, how active you are on your blog. If you have a whole lot of posts, then you may want to use summary instead of the full text. With the summary, the viewers of those RSS feeds would still have access to those full text by simply clicking on the link available to them in those summaries. So again, personal preferences, however you want to leave it. And then again, whatever adjustments you make here, click on Save Changes. Discussion. I would say just leave all of this alone. There are certain plugins that we'll discuss later on that will automatically make some adjustments in here for SEO purposes. But for the time being, I would say just leave this alone. And if you want further explanation on certain details in here, then head on over to your wordpress.org and click on the discussion section here. And under media, I'm going to have to say the same thing. For more details, head on over to the wordpress.org, folks, because everything in here is pretty well set perfectly for my needs by the default settings as they are. If for some reason you find the need to change your location of the uploads folder or how it is shown, then by all means you have that ability right here. One of the cool things about WordPress is the ability that it gives you to make custom adjustments. But as it is right out of the box, more times than not, things are perfect. But again, it's good to be able to change things without having to go into the deep recesses of the coding to do so. And we've already touched on the privacy here. That's all there is to this. So whenever your site's ready and you're done tweaking everything, come on in here, make sure you've got it visible. And one thing too, right up here, this is giving you a constant warning that search engines are blocked. And if we come on here to permalinks, and just to get out of that section, and we come up here and click on this, brings you right back here to the privacy section to allow you to adjust this, because when we click on this and make it visible, that's going to go away. And under permalinks, we'll cover this in greater detail in an upcoming video, but for the time being, if you want additional information on that, come on over here, click on permalinks, and it gives you the lowdown. And that's going to bring us to the end of this video on